Have you ever had a gut feeling about something and you were right? Or maybe there was a quiet nudge telling you not to go somewhere, not to trust someone, even though you had no reason, no proof? And that is intuition. But what exactly is it? Is it spiritual? Is it biological? Is it just a brain glitch? Or is it one of the most powerful and underused tools we have? In this episode, we'll explore what intuition really is, how it works, why we lose it, and how to get it back. We'll dive into science, psychology, ancient wisdom, and modern-day tools for rebuilding your connection to the deep inner knowing. Let's begin. What is intuition really? From a scientific perspective, intuition is your brain's ability to make decisions without conscious reasoning. It's fast, automatic, and often emotional. Psychologist Daniel Kahneman called this system one thinking, the kind that helps you react instantly, sense danger, or notice patterns without thinking them through. While system 2 is slow, logical, and deliberate, intuition lives in system 1. But intuition isn't irrational, it's pre-rational, meaning it happens before the logic kicks in. It draws from a massive database, your lived experiences, your emotional history, subtle sensory cues, even body language and energy that your conscious mind hasn't had time to analyze. Now let's zoom out beyond the brain. In almost every spiritual tradition, intuition is seen as sacred. In yoga and Vedanta, it's linked to the third eye, the Ajna chakra, the center of inner vision and clarity. In Christian mysticism, it's called the still small voice, divine guidance. And in many indigenous cultures, intuition is honored as ancestral or earth-based wisdom passed down through silence and ceremony. Carl Jung saw it as one of the 4 core psychological functions, along with thinking, feeling, and sensing. For him, intuition was the function that gave you insight and outlook, the one that lets you tap into the unconscious and see what's not yet visible. So whether you look at it through the lens of neuroscience or soul, intuition is a deep and powerful form of knowing. Is intuition the same as the inner voice? And this is where it gets interesting. People often use the words intuition and inner voice interchangeably, but they're not exactly the same. Your inner voice is the voice you hear inside your mind, the thoughts, the commentary, the whispers or shouts that sound like your own voice. Intuition, on the other hand, doesn't always come as words. It might arrive as sensation, like tightness in the chest, or a sudden wave of peace, or a pull, an image, a knowing. Their inner voice often talks. Intuition doesn't always speak in language. Sometimes it's just a signal in the body, an image, a feeling, a shift in energy. And while your inner voice can get hijacked by fear, ego, or past wounds, intuition is usually quiet, neutral, and clear. It doesn't argue, it doesn't panic, it just knows. And of course, when the inner voice is healthy and aligned, it can translate your intuition into language. And that's when you really start to live in flow. When your logic, your language, your body, and your soul start working together. Does everyone have intuition? Yes, absolutely. But not everyone hears it or trusts it. Some of us were taught to ignore it. Maybe as kids we were told we were too sensitive or too emotional or making things up. Maybe we grew up in households where logic and control were valued more than feelings or instincts. Or maybe trauma disconnected us from our bodies, which is where intuition often speaks first. That said, everyone is born with intuitive capacity. Creatives and highly sensitive people tend to have stronger access to it, not because they're special, but because they're more attuned to emotional and energetic information. Studies show that women in general tend to score slightly higher on intuitive tests. That might be due to social conditioning or differences in brain structure or hormonal cycles that enhance sensitivity to subtle shifts. Dr. Judith Orloff, a psychiatrist and researcher, found that the right hemisphere of the brain, the part associated with emotion, imagery, and holistic thinking, tends to be more active in people who describe themselves as intuitive. She also notes that the vagus nerve, the body's emotional radar, plays a huge role in intuitive responses. So yes, we all have intuition, but like a muscle, it atrophies if we don't use it. Historical and mythical perspectives. Let's travel back for a moment. In ancient Greece, the Oracle of Delphi was consulted for major life decisions, from kings going to war to farmers planting crops. These women would enter trance-like states and receive visions, often described as divine downloads. Shamans in indigenous cultures have long used dreams, drumming, and nature rituals to access intuitive insight. Hypatia of Alexandria, one of the earliest female philosophers and astronomers, taught that truth is not just to be studied, but felt through the soul. And in myth, you'll find figures like Cassandra, the prophetess who always told the truth but was cursed never to be believed. Isn't that what intuition often feels like in the modern world? You say something, but no one, including yourself, fully believes it until it's too late. We've always had intuition. We've just forgotten how to trust it. How to tell the difference between intuition and fear? This is one of the most important questions I get asked. Is this my intuition or just anxiety? So here's how I usually explain it. Fear is loud. Intuition is quiet. Fear panics. Intuition whispers. Fear tightens the body. Intuition opens it. Fear says, what if everything goes wrong? Intuition says, this doesn't feel right. Fear is usually urgent. It wants you to act now. Intuition can be instant, but it's never pushy. So if you are spiraling in thought, analyzing and reanalyzing, that's probably fear. But if something just calmly feels off, even if everything seems fine, that's often intuition. Can you strengthen your intuition? Yes, absolutely. Intuition isn't a gift that only some people are born with. It's something we can all learn to reconnect with. Think of it like tuning a radio. If there is too much noise, too much overthinking, stress, stimulation, you can't hear the signal. But when you create space, when you get still, when you come back to the body, the signal becomes clear again. And the most powerful, most direct way I've found to do that is through the body. And this is why I practice Tantra Hatha Yoga or energy-based yoga. And this is why I guide others through it. Because it teaches us through every breath, every posture, every pause, to listen, to sense, to feel, to see the difference, even when it's a slight difference in the body, in your state. In this style of yoga, after each asana, we pause. We don't just move from one posture to the next. We pause, we check in, we ask, how does that feel in my body? What shifted? What am I noticing now? And slowly, with every practice, we start building that habit, the habit of listening inward, of checking in, not just during the class, but throughout the day, after a conversation, in the middle of a decision, even in the moment of silence between thoughts. This is how you begin to build your intuition, not from the mind down, but from the body up. Because your body already knows. It's been signaling things all along. We just haven't always known how to listen. And there are also other techniques I've explored and taught, like Trataka, the ancient candle glazing technique that activates the third eye, or the sway test, which helps you feel yes or no responses in your body, or dreamwork, where you set a question before sleep and allow your subconscious to bring you guidance through imagery or symbols. And sometimes I simply ask for a sign. I'll give the universe 24 or 48 hours and just stay open to receiving. And most of the time, more often than not, something definitely shows up. There are so many ways to strengthen your intuitive muscle, but the golden thread running through all of them is presence, slowing down enough to hear what's already there. And I'll share a list of practices with descriptions, how-tos, and ways to try them underneath this podcast. You'll find them all there. Pick one or two that speaks to you and start small. It's not about doing it perfectly, it's about reconnecting. And if you're curious about the kind of yoga I mentioned, the energy-based practice of Tantra Hatha, that's something we explore deeply in the Alignment Circle, my online community, or one-on-one classes. And you're always welcome to join us there and practice together, because intuition isn't something outside of you. It's you without the noise. And why do we ignore our intuition? Because we're trained to. We're trained to be logical, to value proof over a feeling, to doubt anything we can't explain. We've been taught to suppress what doesn't make sense. We're so afraid of being wrong, afraid of feeling too much, afraid that trusting ourselves might lead to disappointment or judgment. And so we override the signal again and again and again, until something goes wrong and we say, I knew it, I just didn't listen. To live intuitively is to live in alignment. It's to stop outsourcing your truth, to stop second-guessing your knowing, to move with life rather than against it. You don't need to develop intuition, you just need to remember it, to get quiet enough to hear it, to get brave enough to trust it. At times you must leave the noisy road and listen to the whisper of your soul. So pause, breathe, and ask, what do I already know that I've been too busy to hear?